We just spent 7 nights on board one of the world's most luxurious cruise ships, the Crystal Symphony. And this is the good, bad, and ugly. Hey everyone, what's up? This is Jordan.
And I'm Jared.
And this is
JJ
JJ Cruise.
Cruise.
Thank you so much for clicking into the video today. Well, this is our last day on our 7-night voyage aboard the Crystal Symphony.
We are here to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly of our first time on board Crystal Cruises. But before we get into it, please subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. It's free to you, means the world to us. And while you're at it, hit that thumbs up.
Crystal Cruise Line has its place as one of the most luxurious cruise lines in the industry. But if you've been following the news the last few years, it's had a bumpy past. It went from bankruptcy to coming back into business, and we got on board to see what the hype was all about.
Crystal Cruises is not just back, it's back under new ownership, and we are here to talk about all that we have experienced under this new ownership.
Now, there are a variety of different cruise lines out there that offer a luxury experience. So today we're going to answer questions like, how does a luxury cruise differ from a mainstream cruise line? What does Crystal do differently from other cruise lines in the industry? And ultimately, who is Crystal Cruises for?
There were a lot of things that shocked us coming on board Crystal Cruises for the first time. So stay till the end as we will tell you all of what shocked us, what may shock you, and if Crystal is right for you.
We sailed aboard the Crystal Symphony on a 7-night voyage around Greece. We left out of Athens round trip and visited several Greek isles as well as the country of Turkey. Now, this was a very port-intensive cruise as there were no sea days. So during this experience, we really tried to focus on the ship as much as we could while we were on board in the evenings and the afternoons after coming back from a nice day at port. Let's start off by talking about the good, and let's start with embarkation. Embarkation was seamless. From the time we stepped out of our car and dropped off our baggage, someone from Crystal met us at the pier to walk us to check-in and then take us through security and on the ship. Embarkation took less than 10 minutes total and was one of the easiest embarkation processes we've ever been through.
One of the first things we did once we got on board was checked out our suites. We had a Sapphire Veranda suite, and this suite, it is one of the best suites we've ever had in our entire history of cruise travel. Now, the suites weren't ready until 3 p.m., but once we got into our suites, we knew right away that we were in for a treat. Not only are these suites the largest we've ever been in the suite category, but they're also one of the nicest for amenities. Whether it be from the outlets, the number of outlets and different types of outlets in the room, to actually what comes with your suites, we were constantly thinking this suite life was the life for us.
And we have to mention how incredible the bathroom was. Both of us could be in the bathroom at the same time, which is not something that we have ever experienced on a ship before. And there was a beautiful walk-in rainfall shower. Honestly, it made it difficult to go out and explore other parts of the ship because the suite was so comfortable. From the chairs to the comfortable couch to the incredible bedroom, we loved every minute that we got to spend in our suite. In terms of stateroom service, we had 3 people tending to our suite at all times. We had a butler and 2 stateroom suite attendants. Now, in terms of what you can ask your butler for, really the sky is the limits. You can have your butler unpack and pack your clothes for you, or you can have them deliver pretty much anything you ask for 24/7 to your room. We requested popcorn be delivered to have a little salty snack in the evenings at 8:30 each night. Every night, without a beat, at 8:30, we would walk into our room and there would be a nice bowl of freshly popped popcorn here in our suite. This was one of the coolest parts of experiencing a luxury cruise ship because that's definitely not something that you get on the mainstream or premium cruise lines.
Let's talk about the good outside of the suite because we could go on and on about this beautiful suite. When it comes to the ship, when it came under new ownership, it was stripped down to the studs. meaning that this ship has some amazing, beautifully designed spaces, even though it's an older ship overall. The ship is in by no means the world's largest cruise ship, but it is a well designed cruise ship. It has a lot of intimate venues on board, whether that be the cigar lounge to the nightclub. There are different spaces across this ship that are built perfectly for the size. Speaking of size, the amount of capacity on board has decreased. The ownership wanted to make sure that people had a more luxurious time on board by never feeling crowded at sea. So instead of 900 passengers, it has been taken down to just over 600 passengers. You can see that in the suites as well, as a lot of the suites have been expanded from just one room to two-room suites.
You would never know that this was an older ship when you step on board because everything is so well maintained. From the main pool deck that is lined with luxurious chairs to the dining venues, which feel like some of the most upscale dining spaces we've ever eaten in. The ship is truly beautiful. And, well, maybe one of the bads is that you didn't actually want to ever get off the ship because you felt like you were sailing in luxury.
One major difference and a huge good for Crystal Cruises and Crystal Symphony is the all included nature of your time on board. This goes from that of what's pretty usual, which is food, drinks, gratuities, Wi Fi, to that of things that are less common to find in any all included package at sea.
When you step on board, you also have access to things like their thermal spa. You get laundry included, 24-hour room service, movies on demand in your room, unlimited gelato, and pretty much whatever you can find in your room, from bottles of wine to champagne to alcohol and sodas that are all kept in the mini fridge. This is truly an all inclusive experience.
With a few exceptions, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Next, let's talk about maybe the best part of the good list, and that is the food. Crystal Symphony is definitely a cruise for foodies. The food on this ship is the best food we have ever eaten at sea. And I don't think either of us were quite prepared for the level of exceptional culinary experiences that we were about to have when we stepped foot on this ship.
Let's break down the options for dining. Of course, you have a main dining room, that's waterside, and the food was fantastic there. If you go there the whole cruise, you're still going to have a great time. But what's unique are these specialty restaurants that are all included. First, you have Umi Uma and Osteria D'Ovidio. These are two specialty restaurants you can go to once each, or you can go twice to one of them. That is included in your cruise fare. Then on top of those two is Beefbar, which is unlimited for lunch and dinner, but is truly a specialty restaurant as well.
Umi Uma. This is a Michelin star restaurant that serves Asian style cuisine and sushi, and the food here was incredible. Both Beef Bar and Umi Uma are restaurants that you can find on land. For those that enjoy luxury dining, Beef Bar is in New York City and also all around the world in major destinations. And Umi Uma is a Nobu restaurant, which I know that many of you have probably heard of. There is an incredible value when it comes to these two restaurants. We looked at the menus on land compared to the menus here on the ship, and there was a lot of very similar dishes. We added up the price of our meals, and each meal that we had in these restaurants would have been over $500 on land. So the fact that they're included in your cruise fare is an incredible value.
Forget the value, the tastes were out of this world. If you've never had food from Chef Nobu, well, you're missing out. And you can get on Crystal and actually taste the beautiful dishes that are at Umi Uma.
There are also a few casual eateries on board. There is a grill that is open during the day that serves delicious pizza, things like burgers and fresh salads. And of course, there's also a buffet. And the buffet food had incredible presentation, was always freshly prepared for you. And every option there that we found at the buffet both tasted delicious and looked like some of the best food we've ever seen on a cruise ship.
On top of this, you can get really quick, easy to grab eats at the cafe that is more in the center of the ship. And you have canapes that are delivered to your room that are canapes you actually want to eat. And I say that because we've all experienced canapes on other cruise lines, the ones that you want to get rid of as soon as possible.
From sun up to sundown, the food was incredible all day long. And honestly, you never went hungry because there was always amazing food to be had here on the Crystal Symphony.
Of course, with that delicious food, you have to pair it with something delicious to drink. And the drink menu is wonderful on board Crystal Symphony. You have every single different type of alcohol out there, whether you're looking for whiskey or rum or vodka, and then a lot of selections of cocktails under that specific alcohol. We love that this was done this way because maybe I'm a rum drinker, Jordan might be a vodka drinker. We can actually look at our separate menus without having to look at everything all at once and decide from what we're wanting to drink for that time.
One of the great parts about the bars or the drink service on board was the speed of service. With this size of a ship coming in at just over 50,000 gross tons and only having a capacity of 606 guests on board, you never had to wait for anything. And that includes drinks. Drink service was incredibly quick. If you sat down at the pool, you had someone coming by within a matter of 2 minutes to ask if you'd like something be delivered to drink. And we were so impressed with how efficient and speedy the staff is here on Crystal.
I just have to add room service is 24 hours, and we were wondering how it would compare late at night to other mainstream lines. So, after you're done dancing the night away in the nightclub, we came back to the room and ordered some room service. We had about 4 dishes between the two of us, and it came within 20 minutes. This is rare. That obviously means it cooked and it was delivered here, and it had the entire white glove service of having a white tablecloth presented. It laid out beautifully on the table and made it just so nice to know that we could come back, grab something quick to eat before bed, and not have to wait 45 minutes to an hour to do so.
Let's talk a little bit about what's on board for entertainment. One of the most readily available things here on the Crystal Symphony is live music. There's live music in multiple venues throughout the night. You don't have to go far to get live music, whether it be a violinist or a piano player, or maybe some loungy or jazz music in some of the smaller, more intimate venues. We really enjoyed our nights grabbing a drink and listening to the live music on board, and the musicians that they have here on the ship were very, very exceptional.
One question we had before coming on board was there going to be much nightlife? Because we knew with a more luxurious cruise, maybe the average cruiser is going to bed a little bit earlier for that next day at port. Well, we were pleasantly surprised. Most of the shows were later in the evening, 8:30, 9:30 p.m. And then after it was done, everyone went to the nightclub. The Jade Nightclub had a DJ, one of the last DJs from Studio 54. So it was a really fun time, whether it be a karaoke night or just a dance night in the nightclub. And it was an intimate space, so it never felt like there was only a few people in there. There was always a good amount of people and a fun vibe to be had.
Something that Crystal is known for is their white night. They throw a huge white night party that is well attended by everyone on the ship. There was professional dancers there, again musicians, a violinist, and the entire ship showed up along with our incredible cruise director to dance the night away in the main atrium. This was one of the best white night parties we have ever seen at sea. And of course, it was fun to party the night away with everyone here at sea, but it was shocking and really cool to see the entire ship dressed in white. Pretty much everyone participated in this event, and it was definitely one that you do not want to miss if you're coming on board Crystal Cruises in the future.
That was the good. Let's talk about the bad and then the ugly. Before we get into bad, we have to notate the dress code. This is neither a good or bad. This is just something you need to know. On board Crystal, there's a pretty guided dress code for before 6 p.m. and after 6 p.m. Before 6 p.m. is a little bit more casual, definitely with some reasoning. But after 6 p.m., you do need to note that the dress code is not like that of a mainstream cruise line. Men will need to wear some kind of dress pants or slacks with a button down collared shirt, or maybe a sweater. You could wear jeans, but you have to have a blazer on for men. And women have a very similar type of resort, elegant look in mind. This is something you should know is not followed by all guests, and it is not strictly enforced, but is something you should know because if you're somebody that wants to wear shorts to the dining room, this is not the cruise line for you.
This was actually something that shocked us because they do send you, like Jared said, a guide to follow and look at as you're packing and preparing for your Crystal cruise. We didn't really know what to expect. We weren't sure if certain shirts that we were wearing would be allowed, so we packed a little bit more than we normally would to ensure we had enough clothes for throughout the evening. But things on board were actually much more relaxed than we imagined they would be. Now, you didn't have a lot of people wearing t shirts or tank tops throughout the ship in the evening, but we did see people that weren't following that dress code, and nobody really corrected them or stopped them and asked them to change. We had heard this online that it's not strictly enforced, and I would say overall, we were still able to be mostly comfortable throughout the day and night. And most of the shirts that we would wear on other cruise lines, we were able to wear in the dining room here on board the Symphony.
Now let's talk about the bad, or if you've watched the channel, these are maybe things to know before booking your Crystal cruise or sailing on board your first Crystal cruise. First, we have to start out with one small issue within our suite, and that was the curtains. They are blackout curtains per se, but they did not black out all of the light coming in the morning as well as we would want them to. We know there are hacks for this, and we tried some of them, but at no point could we really get everything blocked out. So, just something to note if you are an early riser or if you're someone late to bed, that this may be a concern for you.
Next on the list of things that you need to know would be regarding the Wi Fi. Now, if you know us, you know that we work from ships almost all year round. We are truly digital nomads. If you're planning to come on board a Crystal ship and work from the ship, just know that there are certain restrictions or certain walls up that may not allow you to access every single internet website. We had some issues with certain travel agent portals that we just couldn't access at certain times. Now, I will say this though, I was able to access things much better working through my laptop than through my cell phone. So that might be just something to know that if you're going to work from the ship, make sure to bring your laptop on board because that didn't actually seem to have as many restrictions as our phones did.
One main thing to note there is VPNs. If you need a VPN to do your work at sea, this may not be a good enough Wi Fi for you to do so. And we paid for the premium Wi Fi just to make sure that we had the best possible that Crystal could offer. This next one's more for me and less for Jordan. And we kind of even talked about this in depth to even put this in the review, but I thought it was good to know. This may not be a bad, but it's something good to know. If you're going to a hot, warm climate like we are, Greece in August, it's hot out. The ship in total is a little bit warmer temperature wise than what we would expect, especially with a dress code that you have to follow with jeans or some kind of long pant and shirt. You want it to be a little bit cooler so that way you have more breathability, especially if you're dancing the night away. We found it in total to be a little on the warm side. And so just note that maybe try to go for itineraries that are a little bit cooler if this is something that is a concern for you.
Last thing here that you must know is regarding entertainment. And that's just that the entertainment on this ship, and we believe on luxury ships, is just different. It's different from premium cruise lines or mainstream cruise lines. You obviously are not going to find your big Broadway shows or huge spectacle shows here on board. The Galaxy Theater on board is a very small, intimate venue, and the entertainment on board reflects that.
For me, the shows were hit or miss. One not to miss is Icons on Crystal Symphony. That was just last night, and I love that show. They did like, I want to say 50 songs within 45 minutes or less. It was really cool. Some of the best music from some of the best icons out in music today. But some of the other shows that I didn't care for as much was an Elton John tribute as well as a Beatles tribute. These both were fine, but they were nothing to write home about or something that you didn't have to see when you're on board.
That was it. That was the bad. And there really is not a lot of bad to say about our time on board here. We loved our time overall on the Crystal Symphony, but There was one thing that surprised us the most that we decided was probably the ugly of our experience.
Yes, for every rose, there is a thorn. And this one only had one small thorn, but one that really shocked us. And that was the weird upcharges that were kind of throughout our voyage. This started the first day when we got in our suite and tried to log into our Wi Fi. We noticed right away that there was only classic Wi Fi instead of premium Wi Fi. For premium Wi Fi, we needed to pay $100 more, but it did cover all of our devices in our suite. This was not a big upcharge and not a worry for us, but something that we thought was weird when everything else is all included.
One additional charge that we were surprised by was charge for an extra bag of laundry. On a 7 night voyage, you get one bag of laundry total for your room. This was not one bag per person. This was not unlimited laundry like we see in other suite classes, maybe on the premium cruise lines. This was just one bag of laundry for your room. Now, you did have multiple items that you could get pressed or dry cleaned each day. And we actually didn't find that we needed to do more than one bag of laundry during 7 nights. But again, it was just that extra charge that they had there to do multiple bags of laundry when everything is already included.
This last kind of weird upcharge scenario is regards to the specialty restaurants, and that is Umi Uma and Osteria D'Ovidio. If you go more than once, you are charged $50 per person, and we thought that was unusual because other cruise lines in the same sector do have all specialty dining all included. Of course, it's whether or not there's availability on those other lines, but it was interesting that on board this ship, you did have to pay for that second visit.
Overall, this did not break the bank. Out of those things that are upcharges on board, the only thing that we ended up paying for was the premium Wi Fi, which again was $100 total for both of us, and it covered all of our devices. The other things we didn't need to pay the additional upcharge for.
I mean, if you think about it, even if you did pay for a second visit to Umi Uma, $50 is literally 10% of what the entire bill would be for value wise. So it's really not that much. It's just something to note before coming on board.
Overall, we had such a wonderful time on Crystal Cruises. And we've been asking ourselves throughout the week, who is this experience for? Well, I truly believe that this is for the world traveler that likes to travel with luxury and style in mind. From the food to the experience on the ship to the service, Crystal did not miss a beat.
This is truly for those that may want to have a 7 night or longer stay on a cruise ship and not have to feel at all like they need to worry about a thing. Luxury really means that the crew and the service is thinking about what you want next before you even have time to think about it. And we found that while on board the Crystal Symphony.
We're also surprised that the average age on board was really in their 40s and 50s. It was a younger demographic here on the Crystal Symphony than we had expected, which was a nice surprise given that we're both in our mid 30s. So we did find other people on board that were around the same age as us. Now, the big question, of course, is the price point, and is this affordable? Well, one of the most incredible things about Crystal Cruises is that if you're someone that cruises in entry level suites on premium cruise lines, that's actually where the pricing starts for Crystal Cruises.
So the transition can be seamless for some of you out there that may be on premium cruise lines or even some of the mainstream cruise lines and wanting to take the next step over to luxury cruises. And let me tell you, the luxurious lifestyle we have experienced this week is well worth it, in our opinion.
I have never spent so much time towards the end of the cruise looking at other itineraries to try and plan when we can come back on board the ship. It was that good of an experience. So if this is something that you want to try or experience, or if you're even interested to know what does pricing kind of look like, please contact us. We are both travel agents, and you can fill the form out over at jjcruise.com, and we would be more than happy to give you our expertise on our time here on board Crystal.
That was our full honest review of the Crystal Symphony, the good, bad, and ugly. Let us know your comments in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Have you been on Crystal Cruises, whether that be before COVID or in the last few years since the restart of Crystal Cruises? Let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts.
Well, thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Jordan.
And I'm Jared.
Until next time,
See
see ya.
ya.